This tutorial is for week 11 group problem solving, solving equations, tab 1, problem number 3. Here you'll notice again I have changed all of the numbers so it looks different, and if it doesn't look similar to what you're working on, you can go look at the other two videos to find one that would better suit your needs. So this one does not have any fractions starting out with, but we might end up working with some fractions as we move along. Alright, so the first thing is the textbook showed you how to do the substitution method. I'm going to go ahead and go through that. However, I prefer the elimination method, and I will also show you that. Graphing is something that you will be doing a little bit in Maple, but on your own, sometimes it's not as accurate, especially if you have decimals. So I'm not going to be showing that one, but I will be doing substitution because that was shown in the book. But the elimination method is my favorite, and I will also show that one. So the first thing we want to do for the substitution method is pick any of these equations and any of the variables and solve for a variable, and it doesn't matter. Any of them will work. So it really doesn't matter. I guess we'll just take this one. So I'm going to copy and paste it down here, Control V to paste, and I'm going to pick solving for y just because that's what I decided and it doesn't really matter. So to solve for y, we need to add 3x to both sides. I'm going to go ahead and do that down here to show my next step. Add 3x on the left hand side and add 3x on the right hand side. Negative 3x minus 3x will cancel, and so I guess I should show this in my next step down here. Copy, paste. These canceled out. If you want to use the strike through feature to show that those cancel, that's great. It's up to you, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to leave the positive sign here because without anything out in front you know that it is a positive. Alright, to continue solving for y, we need to take all of these and divide every single term by the 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and on the left hand side, for my next step I'm going to copy and paste here. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times y is y, or you can think of it as canceling. 3x divided by 2, I'm just going to move the x over so that I can see that that's a fraction 3/2. And in fact, that might be better to show in show with an equation here so that we can see that the 3/2 is actually on top of each other. So I'm going to do y equals 3 over 2. Pressing the space bar will make it look nice, and then do the x on the outside so that you can see that this x isn't on the denominator, but it's actually in the numerator or out to the side. Either way is the exact same. And then negative 4 divided by 2, I get minus 2. All right, so I'm going to bring this over here. There we go. And then that looks good. Now I'm going to take this equation. Do not resubstitute it back into the exact same equation. Make sure that you're keeping track of which one you're working with. If I do that, then I'll end up with them being the same line because I used the exact same equation. So I want to ensure that I'm using the other equation. Come down here, Control V, and take all of this and substitute it into the other equation for y. So I'm actually going to get rid of the y here and replace it with parentheses so that I ensure that all of that is substituted in for the variable y. So I'm going to copy all of this, Control C to copy, put it inside the parentheses and push Control V. If you're doing that by hand, you can just rewrite it out, which is great. But this is faster for me, so that works great. Now the next thing I want to do is the distributive property into both of these, and I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste for my next step so that we can see that. 10 times 3 over 2, I'm actually going to eliminate or reduce this right now because it's faster than doing 3 times 10, which is 30, divided by 2 is 15. I can just cancel. 2 divided into 10 gives me 5. 5 times 3 gives me 15. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to write 15. Now don't forget we have 10 multiplied into this -2. So I need to make sure I do that, which makes it -20. All right, so the next thing I need to do is combine my x's on the left, and everything without an x goes over on the right. So now this looks nice, and I'm going to put this down for my next step. +15 plus +5 makes this 20x, and then I need to add 20 to both sides so that I can continue isolating the x over here. And so on my next step, +20 and -20 cancel, which is good. And then +20 plus +20 gives me 40. And then I need to continue solving for x by dividing by 20. Again, on the right side, divide by 20. And then 20 divided by 20 gives me x equals 40 divided by 20 is 2, and I have a solution now. So over here, I can start writing my ordered pair. X always goes before y. I'm going to show this here when I write the ordered pair. And then I can open up the parenthesis and put a 2, and then comma, and then I'll put whatever I find for y. Now that I have the solution for x, I can use any of the originals and put the x in, 2 in for the x in either of these. But the trick is, if I have correctly solved for y, it's so much faster because it's already solved for y. I just have to put the 2 in. So I usually take the equation that I have solved and then replace the x, remember, with parentheses, and we're substituting the 2 in because that's what we got for x. 2 divided by 2 cancels, so I end up with actually 3 minus 2. I'm going to copy and paste this. So this all eliminates to be 3. 3 minus 2 gives me y equals 1. And I can finish up my ordered pair with a 1 and close the parenthesis, and I can say 1 solution. I can say that they intersect once. I have 2 lines that intersect at 2, 1, so this is the answer for this one. Now this was the substitution method, and I really like the elimination. So I'm going to copy and paste these and just go rogue for a minute if you want to follow the next part, which is the elimination. Control V to paste those in. All right, so the elimination method is where I'm going to add both of these equations together, adding the x's, adding the y's, adding the term without any variables. And but before I do that, I want to get rid of one of the variables so that when I add, I'm just left with one of the other variables, and it makes it really fast. So I look through these. 5 and -3 aren't really nice to make one or the other. I could multiply this by -3 and this by 5, but then that's extra work to have to multiply 2 equations. So I'm going to look at the y's, and I can see here that if I multiply 2 by -5, I have a +10 and a -10, and that would eliminate it. So I'm going to take this second equation here, copy, paste, and show that I'm going to take all of this and multiply it by, -5, so that when I add these two together, that it will eliminate the 10. Now, I didn't just do it on this one so that I can see my original still. All right, so my next step will be the distributive, and make sure it goes into every single term. Don't leave one of them out. I know I've said that a lot, but I guess after so many times of seeing students not do it, I want to make that emphasis to make sure that you multiply it to everything. So I have -5 times -3, that makes this positive 15x. And then -5 times -2 makes it -10y, equals -5 times -4 gives me +20. Now I can, remember I used the second equation, so I'm going to go back to the first, and I'm going to bring it down here. And now I can add these together. Like I did on a previous example, I'm going to show that we're adding these two equations. And the reason I can do that is that all of this equals all of this, and all of this equals all of this. So if I add them, those equal signs still remain true, consistent, and balanced. Okay, so adding the x's gives me 20x, and this, I'm not going to underline that because we're working on the answer now. Okay, so those give me 20. Negative 10 plus positive 10 gives me 0, which is exactly what I wanted. I have no more y's. They are done. I can put 0 there. I can leave it. We can cancel it out with your pencil. You can just cross those out, whatever you'd like. And then negative 20 plus, or positive 20 equals plus positive 20 gives me positive 40. Now I have 20x equals 40. Solving this by dividing both sides by 20. I guess I should show that. Divide by 20. Divide by 20. 20 divided by 20 gives me x. 40 divided by 20 is 2. And you can see that that was really fast to get to our answer of 2. Then we take this 2 and go into either of these equations, going to the originals. Don't go into this one because we've increased the number, so we'll go down to a smaller one. And it doesn't matter. Any of them will work. So we'll pick this one just because. So I come into here, Control V, make sure that I put parentheses around this, so I ensure everything that I'm substituting for the x is substituted in. And then I end up with my next step, negative 3 times positive 2 gives me negative 6, plus 2y equals negative 4, so I need to add 6 to both sides. Add 6, add 6. On the left-hand side, these will cancel. So I better show that in my next step. Control V. These are gone. And on the and we don't even need to put the positive there. That's implied now. And negative 4 plus 6 gives me positive 2. Solve for y by dividing both sides by 2 here. And I get 2 divided by 2 is 1, or it just leaves me with y. And then 2 divided by 2 is 1. That gives us our answer there. So this is the elimination method, just my preference. All right, I hope that helps you on tab number 1 for your group problem solving. Good luck, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me.